So, hello and welcome to DigiNekt Meet the Expert episode. Today we have with us Matt Bertram, who is an expert, an entrepreneur, and strategist in digital marketing. He's also the co-host of one of the most popular SEO podcasts that have 3.6 million downloads. So, what's the name of your podcast, Matt?
It's called The Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. Here's kind of what it looks like if you see it on iTunes.
Okay.
But yeah, if you type in bestseopodcast.com, that'll get you there as well. But yeah, we've been doing that for, I guess this is the 10th year now. So we've been doing that a long time. We cover all topics of internet marketing.
Great.
Yep.
And Matt is also the author of the book, Build Your Brand Mania.
Build Your Brand Mania.
Okay.
And recently hit Amazon bestseller. It's first book that I've written, but I got a lot of good responses, and so might have another book in the cards in the future at some point. So,
Great. So now let's begin. What are the biggest digital marketing challenges that are commonly faced by small and medium businesses? Like, what's the main challenge? Is it finding the right skill set, or beginning with the right platforms, or budget constraint, or anything else?
There's so many, right?
Yeah.
There's so many. When running a small business, you wear so many different hats, and you're trying to do so many different things at one time. The thing that I constantly hear, and before running eWeb Results, I was running a headhunting agency, so I can really speak to some of the topics you want to cover. I know y'all do run a job board. Hiring is one of the biggest things. Hiring and training is absolutely the biggest challenge. Everybody says, hey, I can't find the right people. You know, I hear that a lot. And then marketing and sales. So hiring and marketing, I think if you distill it down, are the most commonly asked questions I get. And I uniquely kind of qualified to answer both of them from my background. To kind of speak to what I'm currently doing as far as the digital marketing agency, internet marketing is such a broad topic. And also SEO, search engine optimization, is such a black box for a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's also there's really no barriers to entry to get involved in this business. And so what happens is there's a lot of people out there that can put a shingle up and say, hey, I'm an internet marketing expert.
Exactly.
And there's not a really good way to verify it. And so when you're hiring contractors, you really have to figure out if the person can do what they say they're going to do, and how do you figure that out? Where's the transparency? Where's the certifications? Where's the things that you need to make a good decision on hiring that right person? And also, if you talk to multiple different internet marketing experts, everybody's going to have a different take on what the right answer is to get you to where you want to go.
Exactly.
Right? So it's not like changing out the oil in a car and it's just done. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with human interactions. So, it's a very challenging endeavor to find, the right people, right contractors, as well as to find the right person to deliver that qualified work. That was really one of the reasons that we started the podcast, is we wanted to put everything out there, make it completely transparent, and say, hey, if you're resonating with what we're saying and this is making sense to you, then hey, give us a call and we can do some consulting with you, kind of point you in the right direction. Or if you want us to do the work, we could do that for you as well. But it's a very challenging market with a lot of different factors, and it's constantly changing. So someone that was maybe an expert 10 years ago, and they haven't changed the way they do business today, it's not very effective. I can tell you, organic social for Facebook, right? Or organic socials, generally posting on Facebook back in March. And there's a lot of agencies out there, right, that are saying, hey, we'll post 3 times a week on multiple platforms. And it had some impact. And now, since the update that Facebook said where you need to pay if you're a business and we want to share your ads, it just dropped off a cliff. And so if if you weren't keeping up with the times and knew what happened with that change, you're looking around going, what happened? So.
So is there any way that you recommend that business owners, like small businesses, they cannot afford a full-time agency. So what should they do?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what should they do? I mean, when hiring the person, what should they look at?
Well, I think that if you are looking to vet somebody to hire, say for example, content writing, you really want to look at their portfolio, their past work, better understand, are they writing on the topics, or is their writing style in line with what you want to see? I think I'm a big proponent of, show me, right? Don't tell me, sure. What is that? Trust but verify. I forget who said that, but it's show me the work. And then, what I've done when we've hired consultants, and when business kind of does some of the, what's it called, accordion a little bit. Yeah. Sometimes people, we can't say, hey, you need a new website. We can get started on it in 120 days. People don't want to hear that. And so it's really important to have a good pool or a good stable of contractors. And, I think giving somebody a little job and working with them on it, that's low risk, and understand how they work, they understand how you work is really important. I think doing that also before you really need somebody, right? A lot of people respond in a knee-jerk way, and they're like, oh my gosh, I need somebody, and they just have to really quickly go hire somebody. And I think you want to hire slow, fire fast. I know I'm using all these kind of cliche analogies, I guess, but there's something behind them. And I think getting to know people before you really absolutely need them, if you can kind of project to see where the business is coming from, is super helpful. If you don't have that luxury, I think personal references. A lot of people don't check references. I think that's a good one, really odd, right? Like people give them to you, and then they're just like, oh, okay, like whatever you said is good. Let's get going. And also, when you're looking at contractors too, you got to remember, not everything's a commodity. A lot of times people don't think about it, but if you think about like a doctor or a lawyer, they're a doctor or a lawyer, but there is a bell curve, okay, in the classroom on where they fell, right? Yes. And if you have someone doing surgery on your heart or on, your body in some way, do you want the best surgeon? Do you want, somebody that just barely passed, right? So, you got to know that not everything is equal, and you really got to kind of try to glean from that person if they're the right person, if they're going to fit with the culture, if they have done the work, and I do think that the standard kind of references. I'm about to hire a guy full time that I didn't have any relationship with prior for a position that we're looking to fill, and I felt like he was the right person. He was saying all the right things. His background showed it. He didn't have enough data for me to truly make a decision. And, I said, hey, I need the references in it. And I had to ask him for them a second time. He did send them. And then I called the references. And that helped push me over the edge that he was the right guy. People are pretty generally honest. And if you ask them questions, they will give you better insight to working with that person. You also want to sometimes read in between the lines of what they say and what they mean. But I think that just doing your due diligence overall is super important, because a lot of people can claim a lot of things. And, again, just trust but verify.
Yeah. I also started my career as a freelancer. I was working for a copywriter. And what I liked best about his work was he was specific. Like, that specificity existed. He said there was a list of do's and there was a list of don'ts. And there was a list of words, because he was a copywriter, that, I never had to use. So I learned a lot through that. And one of the things that I learned, like you said, references. Like, I got my current job, of course, because he referred me. So build your references. So all of you digital marketers out there, and try and do your job honestly. Like, if you if I didn't know something, I wasn't like, okay, I can do it. It was like, give me a day or two, let me research, let me get back to you. And we have a community. I mean, like, there's a lot of material on digital marketing out there. You can learn the latest, and then you can go and apply those. Like, just don't commit and do something wrong. Instead, take your time and do it.
Yeah, well, and one of the things on the flip side that I wanted to mention as you were talking, you made me think of it is like if you have a business or a Google My Business page, or if a LinkedIn profile, somewhere where someone can leave you some kind of review.
Yeah.
If you're a contractor out there, collecting those reviews as you go, asking for it when the client's really happy, asking for it throughout your process is really, really important, okay? Because, and here's the thing, 40% of people, if you ask them for a review or a testimonial, typically they'll give it to you if you've done a good job. So, all you really got to do is ask for that, and building that kind of network and all of that credibility is extremely important. If you go check us out online, we got I think 106 reviews or something like that on Google. And that's because everyone on my team, it's part of our process to when we do a good job, ask for reviews. I think that there's probably a lot of other companies out there that have just as many great stories and examples, but they haven't documented it. So it's not as authoritative when they're trying to communicate that. And, that's really one of the things that I go into in my book is how to build your digital presence online and how to present yourself in the way that you want to be seen. You really want, here's another really interesting statistic that I talked about a number of times, but it's just so impactful. Did you know that 84% of the time have gone through their sales process before they contact you? So before you talk to them on the phone, before they email you, they have already done all their research, and they're just kind of getting the final check the boxes, and that's when you think your sales process starts. They've already vetted you, they've already narrowed it down, and so you don't have a lot of time.
So that's called just for validation, right?
Yes, and so you want to put all that information out there so that they can find you. I mean, people don't operate the same way they used to. Before, they would, you would go look and see if they had a website. You're like, okay, they're a real business. And then you would call them and you would talk to them. Now people are a lot more comfortable doing their decision-making process online and also purchasing online with a lot of these platforms and portals. But I remember the day when everybody's afraid to put their credit card in anything online,
definitely.
Right? From a security standpoint. So we've come a long way. A lot of things have changed and developed, and so I think it's super important to have that insight and to know that people when they call me have looked at my LinkedIn profile and have watched multiple podcasts and have done all this research on me before I talk to them, and they're like, I feel like I know you, and so. And I'm like, okay, well, let's now take the time for me to get to know you and understand your business. But it really is a great process when people know, like, and trust you, and they're coming to find you. I mean, that's, I think, the ideal situation with work, and that's what I wanted to try to put together in my book is the step-by-step process of how we created that and how to attract people to you in a way that's easy to understand without. Because anytime you start saying PPC and SEO and social media and all this stuff, people get overwhelmed. There's really some easy steps that if you follow and kind of create a little bit of a calendar to do, it doesn't happen immediately, but over time, just like collecting the reviews, it will happen, if that makes sense.
So, what are the cons of outsourcing to outside? And should you outsource outside your country? Because we have found a lot of difference, the British model of business is different, US is different, India is different. So, and there's a lot of outsourcing, like you get a lot of American clients in India and they don't really understand the business model. So how does that work?
Yeah, so... outsourcing is something that has really matured. That industry has really matured. Started for the U.S. with like phone banks, and then has kind of grown into full-on services. I think from a content standpoint, if we're talking specifically digital media, you got to understand like the background in writing, right? So there's the British writing and the American writing. And I think that that's one of the biggest challenges that businesses run into when they're hiring, maybe potentially from India, is how is the person classically trained in English? British English sounds different than American English. And so that's one of the things to look for. I think that there's some real advantages, especially on the programming side. Like if something happened and the site went down or whatever, if you have somebody that you can hand the torch to, that's overseas, that when you close your doors for business for that night, someone's getting up in the morning and can take that torch and run with it all night. So from a production standpoint, you can deliver things a lot more effectively. Also, there's a book out there that I read back in college. It was called The World is Flat. It was really talking about how skill sets of one country would increase, and then those skill sets they used to do, someone else would take them on, and people would be kind of coming up to the same level. I think that China, India, all the kind of Asian countries have done a really good job of really getting up to that level, and you've seen that also in the wages, right? So the wages have started to increase for a lot of industries. I know multi-level marketing overseas is one of the most prestigious positions because you can make so much money comparatively to the standard cost of living. And digital advertising, because it's so important for businesses, they're willing to pay more for it, but also they're looking for a good deal. I think the hardest thing is that relationship, right? Like that trust and like getting started. And, I think that like video testimonials for contractors is super important. Them also talking about who they are themselves, so like people can connect with them. Because if you're looking at an online platform and there's all these choices, a lot of people are just copying other people's profiles, right? And so there's a real fear of, is this person legitimate? Exactly, and if I'm going to start down this path, what's going to happen? Am I going to give them access to the back end of my website? What's going to happen there? Like, so there's real feelers of, again, it comes down to, with I think all humans, that know, like, and trust. And I think that there's a ton of advantages. And I think it's kind of like any decision, even in the U.S. or in Britain, is, okay, do you know those people? Has someone else worked with them? Is there some word of mouth associated with it? And that's why it's so important to build your own personal brand, right? To build your own personal brand so you can get those referrals and get those connections. I know that small businesses do not completely understand other cultures, right? There's a culture barrier there in a lot of cases, but that's starting to be flattened too. I think that there's a lot of people in some of the hubs in India especially that are getting educated over here, or people are going through Silicon Valley and kind of coming back and kind of starting their own little ecosystems across the world. And so I think that I think that the world is getting smaller and smaller.
It definitely is.
I do believe that there are fantastic copywriters, SEOs, PPC specialists, web designers everywhere. But again, the problem is how do you differentiate between everybody that claims to be one and who is one, right? And so if you're a contractor or a company, you have to differentiate yourself and provide validation or provide support for people to be able to verify what they're saying, or give them enough to kind of get them over the fence. Because I think that there's a lot of people out there that absolutely would like to outsource, but they also don't understand the process, or they've tried it and they've gotten burnt, or that sort of thing. So I think it's going to depend a little bit differently for every business owner. But it's just giving them the tools to make the decision that they feel comfortable with, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question? I know I kind of
it does.
did a few different things.
A small question. In your book, do you cover like how can a person who is new to digital marketing start to build his brand? Is that covered in your book?
So the book was really designed to target anybody that trades on their name. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're a doctor, a lawyer, architect, plumber, also a digital marketer, right? Us as digital marketers build our own brands. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of application for digital marketers on how to build their brand. Mm-hmm. And I kind of the layout of the book is I kind of tell a little bit about my story. I create an effigy bridge of like, so people go on my ride with me to lead me up to today to see how that I view the world. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then I talk a little bit about some science-based, so I've done a lot of research on trust, on mm-hmm. authority building, and provide a lot of examples to say, hey, ever since a young age, right? Like when you go, your parents, right? You listen to authority. You listen to your parents. Yes. You listen to your teachers. Mm-hmm. You listen to the doctor with the white coat on. We're ingrained to listen to people. Mm-hmm. I do talk about I don't know if you've seen the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. Yes. So he's like putting on the pilot's hat, and he's doing all these things, and he's hiding in plain sight. But the reason that they're letting that happen is because he's position and authority, so they're not even questioning it, right? Mm-hmm. And so authority is very, very powerful when used in the right way. And so I kind of established that foundation of how I view the world. And then I go through all the different strategies and topics of internet marketing that a small business owner mm-hmm. or a digital marketer should utilize, providing case studies, providing personal examples, and providing examples with clients, and even books that I've read and other data that's out there to provide a lot of like golden nuggets for people. I believe that there is kind of a step-by-step approach that people follow to build a brand online, or to build, like, say, quote-unquote, an online business, right? Like an online sales funnel. You got Russell Brunson with ClickFunnels, mm-hmm. and you got the Ascension model. You got a number of things that are tried and true that digital marketers have done to build their brand. And so I did analyze that. I also used some kind of local examples to my area of people that have built a brand and they built a business along with it. And I believe absolutely it can be applied for digital marketers as well. But the thing that you said I want to circle back on is I totally believe there's so many things you could learn, and you're trying to become an expert. That's like 10,000 hours. I don't know who said that exactly, but it's like that's kind of a common knowledge base, right? Is if you spend 10,000 hours on something, you become that expert.
Yeah.
And so figure out what it is that you love, right? Play with everything. If you're a digital marketer, figure out what you love that you want to pursue, and then absolutely dive into that and become an expert. And I do think a lot of times when people are looking for consultants, they're looking for a solution to a problem. They're looking for, they have a pain point, and they need a specialist or a surgeon to come in and surgically remove that pain. And if you paint yourself as an expert across the board, what is it? Again, I'm using all these cliche analogies. I'm sorry. A jack of all trades, but you're not necessarily a master of one thing. And so when people are looking for outsourced, and this is what I can tell you, and I believe this to be true, when people are looking for something outsourced, they're looking for something really, really specific, and they want an expert, and they want just something that is laser pointed surgical to like solve that one problem. And that's when typically people do grab outsourced talent is, okay, I have a problem and I need to plug that hole or I need to solve that problem immediately. And so they want somebody that's absolutely specialized. I think that you can prove yourself in that vertical and then you can expand there. But I think you need to expand deep before you expand wide, after you understand at least the foundation of like digital marketing, if that makes sense, and how they kind of fit together.
That is one of the best advices for all digital marketers out there. Find your niche, find your specialty, and follow your passion, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So coming back to businesses, like what would be the best 5 trends or so for small businesses, medium businesses to follow in the 2019?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We've done a few podcasts on like the trends of 2018. I think that people are looking for personalization. Okay, and in the emails and the messages, so automation. Okay, look at automation. Email automation has expanded quite a bit. You got instant messenger. You got automated tools and bots for LinkedIn. You got text, SMS messaging. You got lead scoring that can tie into the website. So I think automation, not necessarily for 2019, but in general, has been a solid trend that's been underutilized. And so I think that, there's so much power. People keep email addresses for on average 8 years from the last data that I read. There has been less open rates there. That's what a lot of people will say. Well, text message has almost 100% open rate, so SMS. And then Facebook Instant Messenger has the same. And so Facebook Instant Messenger is super powerful. We've been doing a lot of things with like the little chat bots. We have one on our website that people can play with, or on our Facebook page. We also have it on our on ewebresults.com. But it's a little chat bot. We built it in MiniChat. It's free platform that people can play around with to kind of engage with them and build some engagement and activity. So I think the automation, absolutely something that should be looked at. I think that the trend towards voice is coming if you want to get in front of the wave. But right now, it's video. Optimizing your website with video content, going after the vertical search on Google, all those commonly asked questions, I think is extremely important for small business owners. But yeah, if you aren't making video, I know it's challenging. I know it's difficult. I know it's a lot harder
and it's
to
expensive
do.
Too.
And that creates a barrier to entry that most people won't spend the money or time to do it. So it's less crowded, right? Text is pretty easy, right? Infographics was next. The most rich media you have is that visual content. So pushing that out, as you saw the trends with Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope, Instagram Stories now, even all those stories. I mean, now Snapchat I don't know what Snapchat's going to do. I mean, from what I saw, everybody left Snapchat because they had the stories, and now they're on Instagram and Facebook. People are now posting on Instagram first, and then it's pushing through to Facebook. So, everything's changing. You never know, like, what platforms are really there and what's going to happen.
That's what makes this career so exciting, actually. Yeah,
there's a lot of opportunity. And so if people think, I missed the wave, right? I missed the wave. No, like the internet's so young, there's going to be so many twists and turns. I think that there's a lot of interesting things happening in the crypto space and security space on approving transactions, like delivery of services and like the contract gets fulfilled. I've seen some really cool stuff there. I don't think that that's this year. That might be next year, small business owners. But I think videos is something they should be getting into. I think automation is something they should be getting into. Also, I think that the days of like the silver bullets of like, hey, I just need Facebook ads or I just need AdWords, they really need a comprehensive plan.
Great.
Because one tool is just kind of like a tool in the tool belt. It's not necessarily that silver bullet that's going to get you there. Again, it's where things are less crowded, right? Nobody was using AdWords. There's a couple cents a click. No one was using Facebook. So you want to kind of find that new trend or that new wave and kind of ride that. One of the waves that we're looking at here internally, this is for digital marketers, not necessarily for small business owners, is we're looking at 3D video and virtual reality videos. Because I do personally believe that that's going to be the next wave. YouTube's asking for content creators there. Sorry about that. I'm getting all these alerts. I don't know if you're hearing
okay.
those or not.
So virtual reality videos and 3D videos work for businesses too, because they showcase their products and services actually.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at Facebook, anytime a 3D picture comes through, right? You just put your phone on portrait. You can take it. Those are going to be shown a lot more. Those will be shown by like live video. I think that really rich content's important. So I think podcasting as we've been doing it for a while, but now it's really kind of in vogue. We're actually going to be teaching a course on that. We'll be putting that out soon. But if you're not podcasting, and you want to be doing it on video, because then you can use the content multiple places. You can transcribe it. It creates a bunch of unique, rich content, which Google's hungry for. A lot of people have just kind of rewriting articles. Doesn't work like it used to. And really, it's not very good for the user. And so, I think from a consultant standpoint, all the way to a small business, the same things that have worked over and over again still work, but they don't work as well, right? And so, you really want to be creating unique, useful content for the user or the visitor, and you want to build that audience. I think building an audience, that's one. Building an audience is absolutely critical. I'm reading a number of books out there right now. Content Inc. is one of them, by Joe Preza, I believe is how you say his last name. I'm not absolutely sure on that. But, what he actually advocates is build an audience first, okay? And then figure out the product to sell to them. And I had actually never heard that before. And he used a Social Media Examiner as an example. Social Media Examiner started out with Facebook tips and stuff like that while he was, I believe his company or his partner was working on building a software. And then they were able to build this massive email list, and they were producing content, I believe it was daily, and it's grown into the massive platform that it is. And so really what Content Inc. is advocating is to build your audience first, build your brand first, and then figure out what you can sell into that market. And that's a commitment, okay? Like, and you might have to do your job, and this be your kind of side hustle. I don't know if that's the right word, but something that you're passionate about or your hobby, building that brand till you can make that switch. And I think making a hard switch if you're doing Uber's really big over here. I'm not sure how that is or if it's grown. It's a ride sharing service. It's really disrupted the taxi industry, and people have been able to utilize that to make some additional dollars, but also for people that are passionate about something. Now they don't have to grind away at a 9-to-5 job. They have the flexibility to generate the income they need to sustain their standard of living, and then they can focus on their passion and growing that. So I'm not a big advocate if you're going to be jumping into this space to just jump in feet first. I would there's a learning curve with everything, so you want to kind of figure it out. And so, not for everybody building that audience is necessarily the right decision, but if it's possible, or if you have a team that you're working with, or you're a small business and you're going, how do I generate more customers or more referrals? Building that network of those constant touch points are really important. Here's one kind of, thing that I've learned over time, and it was distilled for me. I don't remember where that I exactly learned it from, but if you're communicating with somebody, right, people ask me, how often should you communicate with somebody? How often should you communicate with your audience? Well, how often do you communicate with your parents? Daily, weekly?
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot, right? And they're close to you. They're your parents and your best friends, your family members, probably kind of similar to that. Okay, maybe, if you're not as close to the family, it might be once a month, or it might be more than that, or whatever. But there's kind of like a relationship between how often you communicate with somebody on how close you are, right? So for us, we do a podcast once a week. We want people to know who we are. We want people to know our personalities and what we are for. I wouldn't go beyond once a month, honestly. Like if you're talking to somebody once a quarter, if you're doing like quarterly emails, that's an acquaintance, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I don't know,
It doesn't click.
I don't know how often you do business with like acquaintances.
Yeah.
Like you might, but once you start doing business with them, you start doing it closer. So the data really supports. If you can communicate with your audience daily, you're going to be tighter niched and it's going to grow faster. And you got to find ways to do that, whether it's like headed to work or, at night doing like a little 10-minute segment. We're not quite there yet. Got a lot of getting pulled a lot of different directions, but weekly we really try to commit to do a podcast, and we feel that that's kind of the relationship level we want to have with our clients. I would say once a month is really the max, because if you're not consistently communicating with someone once a month, they could forget who you are with everything that's going on with their life over time, So hopefully that was helpful.
Very, very helpful, actually. So we have tips for trends for automation, personalization, SMS messaging, lead scoring. Facebook Messenger works for you very well. Video content, you have the advantage, like it's not so crowded. Then there's 3D and reality videos, and then you have suggested a book also, Content Inc. So great. And frequency.
We covered a lot.
Yeah, you covered a lot.
Hopefully it was in a consumable way for people.
Yeah. And then there's the frequency, like how frequently you should connect with your... So that's some great tips, Matt. I mean, I am sure all our subscribers are really going to benefit a lot from all that we've learned today.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to personally in 2019?
Personally, I'm looking, so I recently had a baby, and so I have a 5-month-old baby.
Congratulations.
And so I had no sleep last night, so hopefully I'm coherent. Looking forward to spending a lot of time with my family, raising him, seeing him walk, talk personally.
Yeah.
Professionally, we are moving to a new location next month. We've outgrown our existing location, so I'm really excited about that. And then, one of my personal goals is to start speaking at a few more conferences, trying to, because I have such limited time, trying to really take that time and get the most impact and the most advantage out of that. And I think that speaking at a few of the conferences that I've been to and kind of really utilizing the relationships that we've developed in the industry to become even more of a thought leader is really one of my goals. Speaking on stage, speaking publicly is a fear for a lot of people. And so I've been starting to do that a lot more locally and just kind of getting on the national stage next year. So
just one question before we go. What do you say to those who say SEO is dead?
I love that, right? I love that. What is it? The king is dead, long live the king.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that people have said a lot of things are dead for a long time. I would say that certain tactics are dead.
Yeah, definitely.
And that the algorithms have gotten a lot smarter, so gaming the system is not so much advantageous anymore. I believe following the rules is really the best way forward. Playing the game within the rules the best you can play them is going to get you a lot further and not having to look over your shoulder. But I think SEO I know actually SEO. I don't think that SEO is alive and healthy. And you know, technology is not to where the search engines and technology are not where they need to be to completely disregard SEO completely. And also, even if we had manual people trying to figure out the differences between all these different websites and your site structure and a lot of the technical aspects of SEO, I think a lot of people refer to some of the tactics and like black hat SEO and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think it is kind of dying, but also there's like voice. I know we didn't even really hit on that, but voice optimization is the future. You know, Google keeps adding new things all the time that it's doing, and so I just believe that it's changing. But I would just say, you know, the king is dead, long live the king. You know.
Great, thank you so much, Matt. It was really good talking to you today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And if anybody has any interest, buildyourbrandmania.com. It's on Amazon. It's also on Audible. And then The Unknown Secrets Internet Marketing if you want more SEO specific tips related to internet marketing. So.